it down. Happy Easter Sunday, everyone. Good morning, and thanks for joining us at a little bit of a different time this morning. We are going live a little bit earlier today because it is the weekend and it's Easter Sunday and it's Thunder Playoff Day. So we are talking about the storms just a little bit earlier than what we normally would. Put your questions here. Excuse me. Put your questions and your comments in the comments center, and we'll get to your forecast. Holy moly, what a way to start off the live. You guys, it was a busy night last night. Very, very busy night last night. Take a look at this right here. I pulled this up and I actually posted this on our Facebook page. So go on there and share it for all of your Oklahoma and your Texas friends, because this was quite a crazy night with storms that popped up, tornado warned storms over Texas and southern Oklahoma. Let's see if I can get this pulled up here. Excuse me, just a little sneeze attack came over me. Okay, here you go. These are all of the warnings that we saw over Texas and Oklahoma yesterday. Over 55 tornado warnings and over 173 severe thunderstorm warnings. This was the most active day that we've had in about 2 weeks. So it was definitely a busy night. I think it was a lot busier than what a lot of people expected. Lots of impacts for a lot of people across Oklahoma. Confirmed tornado in Ada. We heard of some damage down there. And we had some confirmed tornadoes down in Granbury, Texas, just to the west of Fort Worth. So all of those tornadoes are mapped at hailtrace.com. Let's go back to your radar right now. What do we see from the radar? Where are those storms now? Nothing severe. That's great news. I've got your temperatures on here and then your storms that are moving through Kansas City right now. We've heard some lightning outside of our window here in Oklahoma City, and it's pouring right now. Taking those temperatures off and just focusing on the radar, you can see that nothing is warned. So non-severe right now. This is just the very beginning. We do have severe weather expected very, very soon. So let's get right into that. Pull up your graphics here and let's talk about your forecast for today. Your weather headlines: severe storms from Texas to Illinois today. Significant tornado risk with this. Now, this is the biggest difference that we see with this storm compared to storms yesterday. That tornado risk goes up. Yes, we saw 55 tornado warnings, several of those confirmed tornadoes yesterday. The risk goes up for that strong tornado risk today. So we are expecting EF2s and even stronger for that tornado risk across southern Missouri and northern Arkansas today. And I guess before I started, I didn't even check to see if you could hear me. So I guess you can hear me. I guess so. Sergio's saying allergies much. Yeah, I guess so. I just woke up with a little bit of a stuffy nose. So I hope that everything's okay there. I feel good. Another thing that you need to watch for today is paying attention to the wind risk. So we're seeing extreme wind with these storms, and I'll show you exactly what to watch out for here on the radar. Extreme wind, 80 miles an hour and even higher is expected. Now that is some strong wind. That is absolutely what we consider damaging wind. And actually, I think I have a graphic about that. Here you go. Here's the difference between like all the different types of thunderstorm warnings. So I think that this is really important today. So we start off with that base thunderstorm warning, anything over 58 miles an hour and stronger for your wind speeds. That's your base, your marginally severe thunderstorm warning. If you start to see the words like considerable, that means that we're seeing 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And I'm not too worried about the hail sizes today. Could you get up to golf ball? I think it's possible. Baseball size hail, probably not what you're going to see today. But the biggest issue here is going to be that wind speed. Okay, so 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds, that's getting into that very, very considerable high impact category, and then 80 miles and even higher destructive category. So that's whenever you often get those WIA alerts on your phone. Whenever your phone goes off and it makes that amber alert noise, usually with wind speeds over 80 miles an hour, you'll get that alert to your phone. So there's just kind of a breakdown of the different types of warnings that we could see. And all of this will most likely be for wind today. Let's go back and let's talk about yesterday. Storms yesterday across the Northeast. We saw Midwest and Northeast here. High winds, few hail reports here, but mainly a wind event. Then we came down into Texas, and holy moly, it seemed like we waited all day for this to fire up, and then it was just bam, 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 storm after storm. Several reported tornadoes. Let's see, can we get an exact number of reported tornadoes? I'll go through the rest of this while this is loading. Lots of hail from San Angelo down to Abilene. This is where we expected the highest hail risk to be anyway. And then that tornado was just, southern Oklahoma was a tornado machine yesterday. Come on, there you go. Going up into southern Oklahoma, there you go. Just one reported tornado after another, and this actually continued off to the east side, just to the north of I-40 there. But it started to finally weekend and give us a break into the overnight hours and into early this morning. We were up late last night live streaming all of this. If you watched our coverage, thank you for hopping on and watching our coverage. Alrighty, the official number of reported tornadoes yesterday was 17. Hail reports 23. High wind gusts, like extreme winds, 19. And let's see what your strongest wind was. I saw an 80 mile per hour wind speed at some point. Hang on. Strongest wind speed. 74 miles an hour. And that was down in Texas at Grape Creek in Tom Green County, Texas. Anyway, moving on, you can see that we do have a low pressure system sitting over Oklahoma right now, another one sitting over the Bentonville area, Bentonville, Arkansas area. All that you have right now is some rain that's ruining those Easter egg hunt plans. I know we had to bring all of those Easter egg hunts inside. Out to the Northeast, it may be a bit chilly, but hey, you can get outside and it's dry. You come to the plains and it is a soaker. Now, the flooding threat, not as bad as yesterday, thankfully, but still this morning you can see some ponding on roadways. You could absolutely still see some slowdowns on your morning drive. So if you're headed out to church within the next hour or two, still make sure that you're taking your time. Lunch with your family for Easter, take your time with that as well, because you can still see ponding on the roadways from places that it's still raining. It's still raining here in Oklahoma City, and it probably will for the next hour. Mario's asking, any hail in the Wichita, Kansas area? No hail for Wichita today. Kansas City has a chance. Any other questions? Nebraska or Iowa? I don't think Nebraska or Iowa is in the risk for today, but hey, I'm getting right into it. Let's get into it. There you go. Oh, wait, this is your temperatures. Okay, cooler in Oklahoma, warming up tomorrow. And even Oklahoma has a risk for Tuesday. That's brand new today. Another question, Iowa or Nebraska? Yes, southern Iowa is included in that risk for storms today. You can see that right up there. So it'll be on the southeastern side of the state. Illinois included in that risk. And then all the way down into Texas. Is Dallas in the clear? Yeah, Dallas is not included in this risk today. However, if you're headed to like the east side, just to the east of Dallas, you could go into some of those early storms, some of those initial storms. But Dallas is not included in the risk. Let's take a look at your timeline here. Taking a look at your future radar, you're going to continue to see storms. Excuse me, my alarm is telling me to wake up. I got it. I'm awake. Alrighty. You're going to continue to see those storms track off to the east today, really starting to fire up and increase intensity into the afternoon and evening hours. Look, they just come into this environment that is so conducive with some really good moisture. We've got that low level and even deep level shear in here. So what does that mean? That means that things can turn, storms can turn really easily. Shear means that we can see that storm rotation really, really good. We've got, that low pressure system sitting right over Oklahoma right now. So anything close to the low is going to have a really good chance for some really good shear as well. So we've got a lot of conditions in place that are going to be conducive for really good storm development today. Now, another thing that we saw last night that really impacted those Oklahoma storms is that low-level jet. Man, that kicked in and that really helped those storms to intensify into the overnight hours as well. And I think that that's also going to contribute to the high wind risk today. And we'll talk about it in a minute, but that wind risk today looks pretty significant. So what we're watching for is a mix of supercells and line of storms, okay? And you can't really see it in this radar view right here, but we may be able to show you a different radar view later on in the forecast. But anytime we start to see these bowing, can you kind of see that that's like a backwards C-shaped right there? Anytime we see a line of storms that starts to bow out, think of like a bow and arrow. That's whenever we get those extreme winds. So that's what we're watching for. Embedded lines of like bowing segments to create those extreme winds. And sometimes on the bottom of these segments, you can get that tornado spin up as well. Strong tornadoes are expected for today, EF2 and even greater. All right, moving through here, we should be wrapping up by the late hours tonight. No risk for storms tomorrow. That's great news, but we do have a risk for storms once again on Tuesday back here in Oklahoma and Texas. I told you we've got plenty of moisture to work with today. That's good for tornado development. Your hail development, pretty low risk today. You know, if you want large hail, you want to see these oranges and reds start to mix in here. We really don't see that. We stay in that yellow category. So I think that the hail sizes are going to stay golf ball size and smaller. And there's your hail forecast. There you go. I have a golf ball highlighted there in orange. We did see a 3-incher yesterday. Yesterday, we saw some really large hail out there. However, not expecting that hail risk today. It's going to be mainly a tornado risk today. So there's your risk for hail today. Let's move on to, I think we've got max forecasted hail size. I think I kept it at golf ball. There you go. Golf ball size hail today. Now, on a more serious note here, tornado risk is much higher today than it was yesterday. That is absolutely something that you need to keep in the back of your mind. Take that risk seriously, even though I know that you have a lot of plans this afternoon with maybe family, or maybe you're staying home for the holidays. You have to keep that tornado risk front and center because it is a lot higher today than it was yesterday, especially if you're in places like Arkansas and Missouri. That's the biggest area for tornadoes today. And I'll show you that. Here's your high wind risk, up to 80 miles an hour for that high wind. And then your tornado risk. Kansas City, level 1. St. Louis, level 2. Springfield, level 3. What do those dashed lines mean in that area highlighted in red? People ask us this all the time. That's in hatched area. So you'll hear meteorologists say that. Oh, did you see southern Missouri, northern Arkansas is hatched today? That's something that we say all the time. What does that mean? That means that we could see strong tornadoes here. So we're talking EF2, EF3 type tornadoes in this area. So we consider EF2 and EF3 strong tornadoes, EF4 and EF5 violent tornadoes. So there's just something about that wording that is important to know. We're expecting that EF2 and stronger tornadoes right in here in that area that's highlighted in red, but it's also hatched. Little Rock just on the very edge of that level 3, level 2 risk, and Shreveport on the very edge of that level 2, level 1 risk today. Most at-risk cities, I broke this down city by city. Tulsa in the level 2 category, KC, level 2, St. Louis, level 2, Springfield and Little Rock. Those are your big areas today that I'm really keeping an eye on for that tornado risk and high wind risk. Shreveport in that like level 2.5 risk. Future radar. So I broke this up into segments, Missouri, and then we'll go down to Arkansas next. So let's take a look at that future radar. Okay, so let's slow this down a little bit. Here we are at about 3 o'clock. Storms are crossing the Oklahoma. Let's back up just a little bit more. And do we have any questions before I start this like timeline breakdown? So sorry about the sniffles today. This wasn't happening 20 minutes ago whenever I started this. Okay, I don't see any questions, so we'll continue. So let's start with Tulsa. The timeline for Tulsa is about right now all the way until the 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's a pretty low risk for anything severe. However, let me make sure that there's nothing severe right now. I don't see anything severe right now. You're getting a ton of rain in Tulsa, but nothing is severe, and you don't have a watch either. So that's good news. Let's see if there's any other information I can get for you. No. All right, so no watch in Tulsa right now. KC, you're also going to be anywhere from this morning until the early afternoon. Going through slowly here so you can see your city. Springfield between about 2 and maybe 7 o'clock this evening. I'm kind of double checking my work with the National Weather Service. Okay, I nailed that. They have a very similar timeline. Kansas City, by about dinner time or shortly thereafter, you should be severe clear. St. Louis is going to be a lot later in the day. So we're talking about 8 o'clock to midnight tonight. Look at that line coming through St. Louis, ending right around midnight tonight. So it may be a late night for people in St. Louis. Let's go down to Arkansas now. So we'll shift that view down into Arkansas. Here's Little Rock. Little Rock's a little bit later in the day than Springfield. So maybe about 4 o'clock until 10 o'clock. The National Weather Service says they actually don't give a timeline here. I'm quite surprised about that. So I'll give you a timeline, but let's stick with that. Right around 4 o'clock, you have to stay weather aware. Storms are approaching from the west. And then as we head into the late night hours after dinner, right around sundown, if not shortly thereafter, that's whenever your severe risk goes down. So watch for this line of storms. Watch for those isolated storms. So those are going to be your big tornado risk producers, your big tornado threats right there. There's going to be those isolated storms. And then those more clustered storms, they can produce a tornado, but that's going to be mainly your wind risk. Here's another great question. What does the NAM 3K mean? So that was it's a type of weather model. That was the weather model I showed you up in Missouri and Arkansas right here. It's a type of weather model. It's just what it's called. And then another one that we like to use is the HRR, the HRRR. And that's what I showed you down into Arkansas. I think they're both great models. They have their own biases, like all models do. They're both high resolution, so we get a lot of data from them, but they're short term, so we don't get it very far out. We get it about 16 to 48 hours. What are the wind speeds in this area? Lots of great questions. What are the wind speeds in this area? I'd say up to like 80 miles an hour. I think we could absolutely get up to 80 miles an hour. Another question about Columbus, Ohio. Is Columbus, Ohio in the risk for today? No, it is not. Columbus, I don't even think you're going to see any rain today. Maybe later. You'll get rain tomorrow. Look at that. Late tonight, early tomorrow morning. There's your rain. Lunchtime tomorrow. It's going to be wet in Ohio. Got our Oklahomans back on here. Muskogee, Oklahoma, Fort Smith, Arkansas. Risk for hail. It's a low risk. Oops. The biggest risk that I see is that tornado and that wind risk. It's a low risk. Better chances as you get into Arkansas, better chances as you get into Fort Smith. Pretty low chance in Muskogee. Actually, your chance is probably going on right now, and probably not going to happen. I would say hail sizes in this area are probably smaller than a quarter. I could probably pull this yellow area back farther to the east. But then Fort Smith, Arkansas, you have a better chance as storms progress throughout the afternoon. I'd say right around like 1, 2 o'clock, Fort Smith will have a better chance for storms. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We appreciate it. We'll go back to your timeline, show this one more time, and then we've got a few more things to talk about, like that risk on Tuesday, that risk on Tuesday. We'll wrap up with some long-term outlooks, and then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your Easter. Hopefully, you stay weather aware. You have to stay prepared, not scared, right? There's Fort Smith. So storms coming through right now in between Tulsa and Muskogee. They will continue to track to the east into Fort Smith. I nailed that timeline. What did I say? 1, 2 o'clock. Ending by about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Going into Little Rock after that. Shreveport, you've also got kind of a late timeline here. Anywhere between about 4 and midnight in Shreveport. And then we do not have a risk for storms tomorrow. These could produce lightning and thunder. However, your severe risk goes down significantly tomorrow. Now, I didn't have time because I was focused on the severe risk for today. Really hammered that forecast in. So I didn't have time to show you all the risk for Tuesday. So let's get to that. Here's your risk on Tuesday. Let's see. This includes Wichita. We had a question about Wichita earlier. It includes Wichita, the western side and central portion of Oklahoma, and western Texas. Let's get some information on this. The National Weather Service is saying that there is a cap on Tuesday, so this is very conditional. All the conditions have to line up for these storms to happen. However, the afternoon and evening hours of Tuesday, we could see large hail, damaging wind gusts. So we've got a marginal risk, a level 1 out of 5 on Tuesday, and that's for southern Kansas, portions of Oklahoma, and Texas. Why has the upper Midwest been quiet this morning? All of those storms are to the west of you. Oops, let's go. Let's see, where is my, there you go. Okay, go to the upper Midwest. All of those storms are to the west of you, so they just haven't gotten to you yet. However, they will. Again, your timeline in Columbus is more like late tonight through most of tomorrow morning. So all the way through lunchtime tomorrow. You'll probably get some rain, but the likelihood that that's severe is pretty low. All right, let's go back to our graphics and let's move on. So we talked about today, we talked about Tuesday. There's your rain outlook for this week. It's pretty quiet until Tuesday, and then storms start to fire back up. There you go. There's your risk on Tuesday. Wednesday looks pretty rainy here in Oklahoma, Kansas, Kansas City, Texas, and then all of the storms start to move to the east. I know we've got someone in here from Ohio, so you've got another chance for rain on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And last but not least, your long-term outlooks. So here's your extended temperature outlook for the 25th through the 29th, last week of the month, here's what we like to say. Follow the heat, follow the moisture. Where do you biggest ingredient for storms? Now there's two big ones. From the 25th to the 29th, it looks like temperatures stay above average. So we're likely to bring those warm temperatures into the entire country. No one's exempt from this. From the 25th to the 29th. Now, we also have a really good chance for above average precipitation. Now, in the winter, I say that could mean snow, that could mean rain. This time of year, you know exactly what to expect here. That is storms. So we have a good chance of staying very, very active. This above average trend will most likely continue not only for this week, but also for next week as well. So as we head into the end of April, we stay very active. We see that storm chance just about every day, if not maybe every other or maybe third day. So we stay very, very active. And there's your forecast. I'm going to let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I know it's a Sunday. I know it's Easter Sunday. So thank you so much for hopping on today. We do have a risk for storms, so our hail trace meteorologist will be mapping it. All of those tornado, wind, and hail maps will be updated in the app and at hailtrace.com. If you're interested in getting subscribed today, you can do that. Give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. You can always follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, LinkedIn. If there's a social media network, we're probably on it. If there's not a social media network that we're not on, let us know and we'll hop onto that network. Either way, thanks for joining us today. We post a lot on social media, so hit that follow button. And we'll be back for your forecast at noon tomorrow. So we'll see you back in the studio for your noon forecast. Have a fantastic Sunday. Happy Easter, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow.